what has happened for me as these teachings have unfolded is a shift towards that perception of evil, what we would call evil, towards more of a moving towards it in compassion. And the way that that has played out for me, like, is an inability to turn away and a not wanting to turn away. And the way that's played out, I'll give a specific example, like when I see a homeless person on the street where I live asking for money, my new reaction is to actually feel like I want to move towards it, like I can't turn away. And I would like to hear your thoughts about how this has unfolded for you, this suffering, and how our understanding shifts. And if you could comment on that.
Yes, the less we are involved with our own personal suffering, the more room there is in us to feel another's suffering. If you were walking down the street completely absorbed with your own suffering, you probably wouldn't even notice the homeless person. Or if you did, you'd probably pass them by. But because you're open and empty, at least to a degree inside, you feel their suffering as your own suffering. And the natural impulse in the face of that is to move towards them. Why? Because you feel, even though you may not formulate it to yourself in this way, you feel that their being is your being. You started off by saying you feel one with everyone. That is you being, not you the person Holly, but you being. You feel that your being is the being of everyone and everything. So there is this natural empathy with everyone. You feel their feelings. If they're feeling joy, you feel their joy as your own. If they're feeling sorrow, you feel their sorrow as your own. And there's this natural impulse, as you say, to turn towards it and to do whatever you can to relieve it. Well, what we can do to relieve it, of course, varies on us, our circumstance, the person, the situation, and so on. But yes, there is this, and that's what compassion is, to feel another's feelings as our own. And we become increasingly sensitive to other people's suffering. And yes, there is an impulse in us to relieve that. Of course, the ultimate relief from suffering is what we do here. The recognition of being, that's the ultimate medicine. But with the homeless person on the street, you can't necessarily do that. You can't take them straight to their true nature. So you give them $10 instead, or whatever. But even when you do that, it's the quality of the interaction that you have with them momentarily that is the real gift. The $10 is just the envelope that the real gift comes in. But the real gift is just that brief interaction. Because what they need more than $10 is to feel loved, to be seen. Well, that's what you're really conveying. That's what goes into their heart. That lasts much longer than the $10. The $10 will be gone in half an hour's time. But that feeling of being seen, recognized, loved, that stays. Because in that moment you're seeing their being. You see through them. You see through their suffering. When you look at them, you don't see the suffering person. You see the beautiful being. When you recognize that, when they see that you recognize that in them, their being lights up in their own experience. They just have a brief taste of their true nature in that moment. In that moment, they cease being a suffering person and they become this peaceful being. They just touch their true nature because of something about the kindness of your gesture, the look in your eye, the 2 or 3 words that you said. And the $10 was just a pretext for that.
And that feels very true. And actually, it happened on Friday, and I looked straight into her eyes, and
something takes place. There's a recognition,
100%.
And it's not. Then you're not a wealthy person helping a homeless. You both of you meet in naked being. your hearts touch. You're no longer two separate people. There is that meet. That's the healing. That's what's healing.
Absolutely.
I'm sure she still remembers it now.
Yeah. But what happened before, like before these understandings, it was like my own despair for the world. I couldn't actually look in her eyes because my own despair, it was like filtered, like my sadness for the world. I couldn't actually reach into that person or that situation and meet it without turning away. That's actually what feels so changed in this experience. Yeah. There's something that I can't turn away from, that I couldn't meet before because it was too painful. It hurt too much to be with the suffering of the world, and it doesn't feel that way anymore.
Yes, because you no longer turn away from your own suffering. What enables you to turn towards your own suffering and not away from it is because you can stand now as being or aware being in the face of your suffering. So there's no longer this avoidance of your own suffering. You can turn towards it. That gives you the same capacity to do so for others as well. Suffering, your own suffering, is not something to be avoided or repressed or avoided through substances and activities and so on. You have the courage to face it. You stand as this openness in the face of your own suffering, and you do the same for someone else.
Yes, exactly. It's incredible.
Yes, and it's powerful, because if you stand as that in the face of someone else's suffering, you're modeling for them the correct position to be in the face of their own suffering. So you're taking them to their true nature.